Hello everyone, welcome back to Brains and Beauty, and for today's video, it's going to be a makeup inventory video. So I've already done a makeup collection tour, which is where I took you through everywhere that I store my makeup, on my dresser, in my drawer, in my display cabinet, and I talk a little bit about my feelings for the products, maybe some stories for how I got them, and so that video is a very long and chill, chatty video. I'll link it in the eye above if you do want to check it out after this one, but this one's going to be a makeup inventory, so it's mainly the numbers. I'm going to go through specific categories, so I have blush, highlighters, foundations, concealers, and so on, and then I'll give you the price, the amount that that makeup is worth, and then I'll also tell you about the goals that I have for that makeup for the upcoming year, how I expect that inventory to change. So we're just looking at how much the makeup is worth, not necessarily what I bought it for, because some of these things are gifts from friends, or some of them were like deluxe size samples, or I used points for them. So essentially we're just looking at what the makeup is worth. So yeah, that's it. Let's get started. I do have this box, so I'm going to be using this box. I'll go and fill it up with the products for that specific section, and then I'll bring it back and we can talk about the products in each of the sections. This is the first group. I have my foundations, concealers, and correctors here, and so this is the kind of base product group. And I would say this is the one that's the most out of hand to me. I don't feel like I really need to have this many base products over here, so I do have several of these in project pans because I do want to lower the number that's in this category. But this category is essentially worth 436.3 Canadian dollars. So that is quite a bit. I do have higher end products here, like the NARS, the Too Faced, the RMS. So I can understand why that is a lot, but I really do love the finishes on these products. This is my favorite concealer ever, the Too Faced Born This Way Sculpting Concealer. It's just amazing, and I think the cost per ounce is actually good value for this. And I don't know if you can see here, it was sitting for a little bit. You'll be able to tell that it's almost halfway used up. I really do enjoy using this. And I also really enjoy the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. So what I'm thinking is my goal, I would wish it was for next year, but I really don't think it's manageable by next year. But my end goal would be to just have this concealer and this concealer in my collection. Right now I have these two foundations, but I'm working on using this one up, and these two concealer slash foundations, I'm also working on using them in my project pan, which I will link above if you are curious what I have for my 21 and 2021 project pan. But yeah, so I am working on minimizing this. I think by next year though, a realistic goal would be that I would have 3 to 4, so maybe this one would still remain, this one, this one I use, the shade Canal, is more as a color corrector, so this one would also probably stay. And then I would keep the purple, so the base products I would have about 3, and then for color correctors I also think I would have 3, because I do really like having an orange, a green, and a purple. So I think 6 in total in this area would be best. This is a backup of this concealer, the Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Vanilla. So once I use this up in my project pan, I'll be able to open this one. But yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. I don't want backups in my collection. This is the only, other than my mascaras, this is the only backup I have in my collection. So once I use this up, I won't have any of that. And then I just want to have 3 bases, for including concealers and foundations, and then 3 color correctors. So the next group here is blushes, and for someone who really loves blush, I think I have a pretty pared down collection. I have the NYX palette, which has a bunch of nice shades in it. I don't really use those 2 highlighters, but this row and the oranges are very unique and special shades. I have this MAC Plum blush, which is just beautiful, and I have this Wet n Wild blush, which is in my project pan because I prefer a matte blush rather than a matte that has shimmer in it. I'd much rather have matte blushes and then be able to top them with a highlighter if I want shimmer, rather than not have essentially the choice of removing the shimmer from the blush if I wanted to. So I am trying to pan this, but the rest of these I actually really enjoy, and so I don't really see myself reducing the numbers much more. After I pan this one, I'm going to want to buy another kind of nudie blush shade. This blush is from RMS in the shade Modest, and Honestly, I use it more as a corrector than I do as a blush, but I'm keeping it in this section. So this part of my collection is worth 143.97 Canadian dollars. And I did get this one gifted to me. In terms of goals, I do actually really want a true red blush. I just really want to try that. And then maybe I might want to try bringing in a couple more cream blushes. So I'm thinking this category could actually expand a little bit. I really do use a lot of blush. I do the kind of blush draping technique all over the cheeks and on the nose. And I love that look. It's really cute. And so I do feel like I get use out of my blushes. It's just I also know that these take so long to use up. I watch a lot of Project Banners and it just takes them years. And so I don't want to bring in too much, but I also do want to expand a little bit. So I'm thinking maybe expanding it by 2. So as goals, bringing in a red blush and then maybe bringing in a cream blush to play with, because majority of these are powder except for this one. So that is essentially the goals for the next year, is to have no more, I wouldn't buy any more blush palettes. Like I think just having one blush palette is good in a collection, but in terms of single blushes, I think having about 6 is a good number. So that is the goals for this part of my collection. This part of my collection is all of my lip products. So I have my lip glosses, my bullet lipsticks, liquid lipsticks, and lip liners. I took the caps off so you can just see all the colors. And I really like the way my lipsticks are laid out here. So I have the group of bold lipsticks. So I have my group of bold lipsticks. So these are the orange, the true red, the bold pink, and then the deeper vampy color. What I like to do is I like to have 4 of these bold colors and then 4 of the kind of nude shades of lipstick. So I have a pinky nude, a peachy nude, a brown nude, and then this one is a little bit more peachy than this one. Honestly, this one I would like to pan. I prefer the MAC formula that just feels a little bit more comfortable. This one feels a little bit more drying. This one's from Maybelline, and so I would like to pan this one, but essentially this kind of layout is really nice for me. I don't feel like I want to expand more in the bullet lipstick realm because I really like, for example, if I want any other shade or hue of a certain lipstick, I can get it by just mixing 2 of these shades. Like I really like mixing this Ruby Woo red shade with this peachy shade, and it creates this like really pretty coral. So I don't feel like I need to buy a coral lipstick for that. And similarly, I like to mix any of these bold colors with the nudes. This purple one, I didn't buy it. It was like, I think it was like lipstick day and MAC was giving out free lipsticks and I was like, yeah, I'll take a purple. Like I'll try a purple, you know, why not? So do I use this? No, but it's fun to have. So that's why that's there. But that's it in terms of the bullet lipstick part. I just recently got into glosses. Of course, I picked up the Fenty Gloss Bomb and I absolutely love it. So I started off with a pink shade just so that I could, you know, I like pink shades, so I thought this would be good to start off with, but I kind of do want to expand this part. I want to get one clear gloss and then one kind of really sparkly clear gloss. So that's, I already see in my collection that I'm going to expand to in that sense, but I do hope to also pan this one, and then maybe these 2 I'll also pan. I don't feel like this Bite one is really necessary in my collection. It was like a free sample, and this was a birthday gift with Sephora, so this one also I feel like it's not bad. It's one of those liquid lipsticks that have that kind of tingly sensation, so I feel like it's unique, so I don't need to pan it soon, but I don't really need that kind of product in my collection. And then in terms of the lip liners, I honestly don't use the lip liners much. I prefer a more kind of like the East Asian style of like a blended out lip rather than a very structured lip. So I always just go with bullet lipsticks. I don't really use lip liners, but I think for this collection, I don't mind having a red, a kind of nudie pink, and like a more mauvey purpley pink. So I'm not going to expand the lip liners. For the bullet lipsticks, I don't really feel like I need to expand either. It's just the lip gloss. I'll probably get 2 more and maybe I'll be able to pan these. And then I do really want a red liquid lipstick. So I don't have any true like liquid lipsticks that just set down and then don't budge. I prefer more of these kind of comfortable formulas, but I do want one where like it doesn't matter if it's not comfortable. It's just for like that specific occasion where I want to wear a really intense red. I want it to be a sharp, you know, line at the edges of my lips and everything, but I want it to stay that way and not have to worry about it. So I am looking for one kind of red liquid lipstick like that. But other than that, so maybe like this section would grow by 3, but essentially that's all I think I really need is maybe three more products for this section. But I'm really happy with how my collection looks in this category. So this category, the price in total for all of these products, they're worth $283.99. So let's move on to the next section. This section is what I would call like my eyelash section. So I have the false lashes and then also mascaras. So right now I have a lash primer. I do find lash primers useful. I know some people don't, but I feel like they help any mascara out if the mascara that you're using isn't the best and you're trying out a new one, or if it starts to flake near the end of the mascara's, you know, lifespan, you can use this and it also helps keep it together. I also find that before I started using lash primer, I used to just use mascaras on their own, and I really didn't like mascaras because my eyes would turn red from like irritation. And I found a lash primer really helps, I guess, not let any kind of invisible flakes that we don't really notice get into the eyes and then irritate my eyes. So I always have a lash primer on hand, and this is the one that I am trying to use up right now. This is the mascara that's currently opened. It's the Milk one, and I got it from this set. And then that is where I have the rest of my mascara backups is in this set. So I just took off the cover here. This is like, this is part of a Sephora mini set where you can essentially get all of these minis for $37, and then once you use these all up, you can get a full size for free with this card. So that is, I think, a really good deal because you get to have a bunch of minis, and I think minis are a better option than a full size mascara because, you know, they say that you're only supposed to use a mascara for 3 months, and so rather than worry about getting eye infection and throwing out a mascara, you may as well just get minis and then be able to actually use them up within the 3 months. So yeah, right now I'm working on the Milk one, but I have the rest of these as backups. So that's it in terms of my mascaras. And what are my goals for the mascaras? I really don't have any like extra goals. If I use up the lash primer, I'll buy another one. And then in terms of these, I won't get any more mascaras until I've used all of these minis up. So I don't see myself getting any more mascaras in the next year. In terms of the falsies, so I have this Moxie Lash magnetic liner, and I also have these magnetic lashes here. So essentially you draw on the magnetic line and then you're able to snap these onto your lash line. And I really like this system so far. I'll leave a review for another video, but essentially I first got, oh, I'm actually missing one. Okay, so this is the one that I was missing. So essentially, this is the style Sassy, and it's the one that I bought with the liner from Moxie Lash, but these are kind of pricey, and so I wanted to still play around with a couple other styles, so I bought these from Kiss, and they're magnetic lashes, and they work fine with the liner, so that's what I've been using. I really love the Crowd Pleaser ones. These are absolutely beautiful. And then I've cut some of these up just to fit my lash line better, or I like using some of them just as kind of baby lashes on the edges. But I do kind of want to expand a little bit more. There are some Moxie Lash styles that I really want to try. Like there's this Love Kit that just looks like beautiful wispy lashes. So I do think I might expand a little bit in this area. I might get just the Love Kit, so about 3 more lashes. But that's it for this section, and in total, the price for this category is $205.58 Canadian dollars. Alright, this is the eyeliner part of my collection. So technically that Moxie Lash liner is both a magnetic liner and an eyeliner, so it could count for here, but I'm keeping it with the lashes section because the purpose of it is to be magnetic so you can put lashes on top. But here, this is just the rest of my normal liners. So I have the Sephora 12-hour long-lasting liner. I've gone through one of these, and this is another one. I really like this liner. I like that it's in a pot, and so you can essentially kind of wipe off the edges and get the amount of liner that you really want. And then I also got this KVD tattoo liner, and this is a mini that I got in, I think, a birthday set. So This is, I've been playing with it recently and I actually really like it. You can get really nice thin lines with it. And then these two are the glitter liners by Brand Decay. I actually get a lot of use out of these. They're like always on my eyes in any kind of special occasion, type of party. And then these two were extras because I really like these two that I ended up buying them. If you can't tell, I really like iridescent type things. So I did end up getting this shade Distortion from Urban Decay. And I also got this more for my mom. So I guess something I should have mentioned here. I mentioned it in my makeup collection video, but I'll also say it here. A lot of these products I share between me and my mom because I do her makeup. And so I like to have a couple of products that are really nice on her. She has hazel eyes, and so I actually got this specifically for her. I really do like this formula because you can easily just peel it off. It just comes off easily without having to wash your face and get glitters everywhere. So that is it. I don't think I will be expanding this part of my makeup collection because now I have really beautiful shadows that I can turn into liners using Durline. So Durline was a recent addition to my collection, but probably one of the best things I've bought recently. It's just amazing because I've been really enjoying turning eyeshadows into liners, and essentially my entire eyeshadow collection has become my liner collection. So really all I need from here is just the black liner for when I just want to quickly get some liner on. If I just want a simple black, I can go for this. But honestly, I think I don't even need an eyeliner collection because I have a bunch of eyeshadows. I just need this Durline. So I will use these up, but I don't see myself expanding this collection at all. And right now is worth $191.5. This is my highlighter category. You can see all the colors since I have them opened up. I got the Becca Minis in a set, which I would highly recommend for you to do because it's also really hard to go through highlighters. And I like that you get a variation of different colors. I love this kind of purpley one, and this one is a gorgeous, like Vanilla Quartz is a gorgeous peach gold kind of shade. And so I really enjoy these. I also recently got the Fenty Diamond Bomb one in a set with the lip gloss that I showed you. And I've been absolutely loving that one. Even though I'm not a fan of super glittery highlighters, this one is just amazing. The ABHM Reezy, I wish it was in limited edition because it's one of my favorite, but I know I won't go through this entire thing. So I really enjoy using it. And then opening these up and looking at them like this, I feel like the Smashbox Spotlight palette and the e.l.f. Illuminating palette are actually really similar, so maybe that's a good one for me to pan one of these, but I don't feel like I'll be bringing in any more highlighting type palettes into my collection, just probably pan one of them. And then in terms of the single highlighters, I do want to just bring in one more I have identified that I really would like and would use, a kind of really bright white highlighter. I know I have the Fenty Diamond Bomb, but this one the formula is more like a putty, where the rest of these are powder highlighters, so sometimes I don't feel comfortable mixing with that one, so I would prefer to have a white highlighter, and I've always wanted to try the Ofra highlighters. They're like the beaming highlighters that everyone talks about, and so yeah, definitely that's kind of on my wish list right now. So I'm thinking this category could increase by one, but I also do want to, not by next year I won't be able to pan one of these palettes, but I do want to keep that in mind for the future. So that's it for the goals. So all of these highlighters are worth in total $199.45. This category is what I would call a makeup enhancer. So I have my eyeshadow primers here, I have the finishing powders, a couple of primers, setting powders, and then setting sprays. So in total, how I feel about this right now is I do like the number of eye primers I have. I know it may seem like a lot, but I have a glitter primer here. I have this CoverGirl primer that isn't as tacky as the glitter primer, but it's still tacky. So it's nice for like mattes that you really want to stick down. And then I have the classic Urban Decay primer that's more kind of like a smoothing primer. So I like all three of these, and I would like to keep my primers at 3. I think that's a good number for eyeshadows. In terms of the face, this is a free primer. I haven't even tried it yet from Hourglass. I don't really use face primers yet, so I'm just going to keep it at that. I don't think I really want to expand this any more than one. For finishing powders, I have both the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder and then also the NYX No Filter. I absolutely love this so much. I'm even falling more in love with it as I have in my project pan. I use this every single time I do my makeup, so I really love this finishing powder. The ambient one, I'm still kind of learning how best it looks. But yeah, I don't think I want more than that. Like 2 is enough for me here. For the setting sprays, I have a matte one and the Catrice Dewy one. I think I like to have 2. I'd like to have a dewy one and then one that really sets down, like the Urban Decay, I think it's called All Nighter. Using up this one so that I can get that one. But just having 2 in my collection seems like a good number for setting sprays. And then setting powders, I really don't set my face, and I don't feel like I need to. I use a satin type of base products, and then I have normal skin, so I don't feel like I really need to set my makeup. Having these 2 minis is enough for me, so I don't see this really expanding in numbers more than it already is. And this part of my collection is worth $160.75. Okay, this is the smallest part of my collection. This is my bronzer contour kind of category. I did start building my collection at a time when contour was all the hype, but I always knew that it wasn't really for me. I like more softer features in my makeup rather than like really harsh. And so I was doing blush draping back when like everyone was really into contour and was barely using any blush on their face. So I never went into like building this part of my collection a lot. I do use the contour a little bit on my mom, so that's kind of the only really function of these 2. But I definitely don't want to expand this part of my collection, and if anything, I would like to reduce it. I think if I have this bronzer in here, I really don't need this one. So maybe just one product in this part of my collection, but I'm not stressing about it. Like, I think having at least one bronzer, one contour type of palette is good enough for in case I ever need it. And so this part of my collection is worth $31.25. So unlike the last category, this is the largest part of my makeup collection. These are the eyeshadows. I wonder if you were able to guess them just from looking at my channel and the videos on my channel. Eyeshadows are the best part of makeup to me. They're just so much fun. I mean, I really like the other parts of makeup. I love perfecting my base, and I like using blush and lipstick for like monochromatic looks, but really eyeshadows are where the fun is. And so my collection has a lot of eyeshadows. We're going to start with just these eyeshadow palettes, and I'll show you them, and then we'll look at the eyeshadow singles. So starting off, I have this Urban Decay Heavy Metals palette, and it is essentially my rainbow palette for shimmers and also my neutral shimmers. So here you can see that I have all of these colorful shimmers on this side of the palette, and then on this side you get all of the neutral shimmers. So that is my Urban Decay palette. I like having this palette because it just provides really beautiful shimmers in all the colors that I could want. And then I'm going to kind of put them aside over there because I can't fit them all in this box on screen. I also have the NYX Ultimate Brights palette, and this is my Rainbow Mattes palette. So I kind of try to keep it, I guess my goals, I should say, for this part of my collection is that I don't mind having a lot of shadows, but I don't want them to dupe each other out. So the reason I bought a rainbow palette is because I wanted to always have all the rainbow shades there and then not buy, for example, another palette just because it has like a pop of green that I didn't have. Like I have a green in that rainbow palette, I have a blue, I have everything, so that kind of pop of color cannot entice me to buy another palette. So that's kind of how I work in terms of how I collected these. Each palette has a very specific role that I try not to replicate in the others. So this one is my kind of warm neutral palette. It's supposed to be a dupe for the Modern Renaissance. So this is Rose in the Air from Wet n Wild. This is Comfort Zone. This is my only kind of grungy palette. It has more of a grungy color story to it. And then I have this one, which is like the teals and golds. I also have the Smashbox. So this came in a set when I was first building my collection, and I really liked that one was a very warm palette. So it's not a warm neutral, it's like a true warm. You have all those pinks and oranges. And then the other is a true cool tone palette. I love these grays and purples. And then for a true neutral palette, I have this CoverGirl True Nudes, and it's like actually neutral colors, not warm or cool leaning. And then I do have this one. I feel like this is probably the only kind of repetitive one in my collection. It's kind of like another warm neutral, but rather than leaning in the rosy direction, it leans more in like these peaches. I also have the Natasha Denona Mini Gold, and this is just absolutely beautiful olives and browns. I really love green shadows, and this olive is different than the greens in the Huda Emerald. So this is the Huda Emerald, and I love every single shade in this palette. It's just a beautiful green palette. And I really enjoy a pinky mauvey moment, so this Huda Nude palette is one that I actually did an entire no-buy year to justify buying because it's the most expensive palette in my collection. So I really do love it though. I think it's very special. The undertones in here really work well with my skin tone, and I love this palette a lot. And lastly, we have the Vice 4 palette. This is the oldest palette in my collection, and it's kind of really funny just looking at the trends in kind of the colors that we enjoy using. And in 2020, purples and greens were really popular, so I feel like this was a bit of ahead of its time, or maybe the trend has just come back. But yeah, so those were all of my eyeshadow palettes. And my eyeshadow palettes add up to $432. So this is my single shadow collection. I have the NYX Prismatic Shadow singles here. I have an Urban Decay one in Half Baked. I have the Tarte one in Frosé, which is really, really beautiful, duochrome pink to gold. And then I have these two Sephora kind of satin ones. And then I have all my special indie single magnetic shadows in this Cliona Magnetic palette. So here they are up close. These are all absolutely beautiful multi-chromes, except for the matte shade on the side and the duochrome purple to gold on the side, but the rest of them, they're all multi-chromes. And they are just the most special items in my collection. These bring me so much joy. If I'm stressed, I play with these. When I'm happy, I play with these. I just find it brings so much joy to play with these shadows. Most of them are Cliona Cosmetics, but the bottom row is Terra Moons, and they also have those beautiful pastel mattes, which brings me to the point of goals. I do really want the Creepy Q palette from Shroud Cosmetics, which is a palette of a bunch of pastel mattes. So that is coming into my collection for sure. So this will actually grow, I would imagine, by the next year. And I don't mind that being a goal, to add a couple more very special shades and to add that pastel matte palette, because I don't have those kinds of vibrant pastels. But I am also being very conscious about this category. I mean, I really do love it, but I don't want it to become overwhelming. Again, like I said before with the eyeshadow palettes, I don't want there to be any dupes in my collection because that just seems excessive and unnecessary. But I do like to have a variety, and I started this series on my channel called Make It or Buy It, and essentially I actually try to make some of the new eyeshadow releases to see if I should actually, if they're worth buying, if they're really unique and I can't make them, or if, for example, I can make them and I really enjoy using those colors and I find myself completely finishing up those powders that I've made, then maybe it is worth buying. So I am very conscious about buying eyeshadow. I'm not just letting anything into my collection. It has to be really, really special. But the reality is that recently indie brands have been releasing so much really, really special shadows that I can't make. For example, all of these multi-chromes, I can't make them just by mixing like a pink and a yellow and a green, but I can make, for example, the kind of mattes that used to allure me to buy new eyeshadows, the ones where it's like, oh yeah, this is a green, but this is a green with a different undertone. Or this is a purple, but this is a slightly deeper vampire purple. Like, I can make that by mixing black and a purple. So that's kind of part of how I'm allowing myself to use up these products in my eyeshadow collection and not just buy others that I could easily make myself or dupe myself in my collection. But if I can't make them and they're really special, then I don't mind bringing in more. So I'm kind of trying to keep a balance in this category, but not being super strict with myself, as long as I'm being critical about what I'm purchasing. And so in terms of goals, I would say, well, if I were to count all of the individual pans of eyeshadow in my palettes plus these single shadows, I would have 176 shadows. And so I think my goal is kind of to keep it under 250. I know 250 might still seem like a lot, but I really am using these shadows. I also use them on my nails. So I'm currently playing around with using eyeshadows to create press-ons. I bought some really high quality press-ons. These are just ones I got off of Amazon, and then I painted them with essentially the shadow from my magnetic palette called Luxe. If you want to see a video on all of those multi-chrome swatch, I do have a glitter multi-chrome video, so all of the glitter type, and then they're not pressed glitters, they're just very glittery kind of shimmery shadows. So I have that video up, and then I also have the iridescent and jeweled type up as well for swatches with Cleona versus Terra Moons. So I have that those videos up if you want to see all the swatches in here. They were just posted before this video, so you can go check them out. And I can link them in the pinned comment below. But yeah, I do use these shadows for multiple purposes. They're not just on my eyes, but I also use them to create press-ons. And so I feel like I'm getting a lot of use out of my shadows. I'm not leaving any kind of untouched, and so I like the size of the current collection that I have, and I don't mind it expanding by a little bit. And I think I didn't say yet, but the price of this single shadow eyeshadow collection is $429.6. So that's really interesting. The single shadows are almost the exact same price as the eyeshadow palettes, which was $432. Like, it's just a couple dollars off. And of course there's less shadows in this part of the collection, but it makes sense because these really special shades are often more expensive buying them as singles, whereas when you buy something in a palette, you're getting kind of a larger amount of shadows for a lower price. But I don't mind because these shadows are very special and they're meant to more supplement my collection. Like, I won't be buying a regular matte single shadow. I just don't feel like that's a wise decision. These were made back in the beginning of my collection when I really didn't know much. But now I'm starting to ramble, so let's actually wrap up this video. I've showed you all of the products, we've talked about the goals. The total price of everything combined in my collection is worth $2,514.39. I feel like that's not so bad, honestly, because this makeup collection, I've been building it slowly over 5 years. I got into makeup in 2015, and now it's 2021. Okay, that's actually 6 years. But anyways, so yeah, I've been building it up over many years. There are so many products that I wanted that I always refrained from getting. So, and also that number, again, like I said, it's what these are worth. It's not necessarily what I paid for them. I usually get things on sale or in sets, and so in general, I think the amount I probably spent on it is like $1,500, but then if you count taxes and shipping, you know, maybe $2,500 is about right for the last 5 years, and I don't mind that. I think it's a good amount for a hobby that I really enjoy. This has been my main hobby for the last 5 years. I've loved watching the makeup community, and I even watched the makeup community back when it was like peak consumerism phase and I didn't give in to too much, so I feel like pretty proud of myself in terms of what I have in my collection and how critical I've been in bringing things in. But yeah, that's essentially it. That's my makeup inventory with my goals and numbers. I'll do one yearly just to see how things change and if the goals that I set I reach them. But yeah, that's it for this video, and I think I'm kind of done with the intro videos for my channel. I do have a new channel, so I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe if you really like this kind of content on makeup. And now that I have my kind of intro videos done for the project pan and the collection, all of that stuff, I can do more videos just playing with the makeup. I have a lot of build your own palette type of videos coming, and I also research brains, which is why the channel is called Brains and Beauty. And so while we, you know, play with makeup, I'll also tell you all about your amazing brain. So that is essentially it for this video. I hope you do subscribe and that you give it a like if you liked it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!